the table level. Let's pull up our accounts table in Sugar CRM as our sample. And let's look for the name field. How about that, right? Because that's a form of PII that we shouldn't be sharing with anybody. We have tags. So we actually have a tag system where you can tag the fields inside of your databases. Use those tags in your queries to serve them up to your jobs so that when you have this external data source go out, none of the sensitive data goes with it. And it's real time. Just turn it on, it works, right? It doesn't matter if it's PII, it doesn't matter if it's anything sensitive to the business that you're in. You can now share data downstream real time with everybody because you've got a data governance platform governing how you integrate data and how you serve data up internally. That's the secret of a catalog. The catalog should be worth its month by doing that. How you doing? A lot of people couldn't make it through the door, so there's everybody in it. We say, hey, we only got so many people, so we should know everybody's name. So, what's your name? IDM. IDM? Agreed. Say it again. Kunur? Gotcha. I don't want to say it like that. That was cool.
What of a situation you have to share data with different people? You know, you want to release data, but not the same content to different setup.
So let's see if I can, let's go here real quick, right? So remember this diagram earlier? This console.app controls user profiles, access, and permissions on our open data exchange. So once you put the data out there, you choose who gets to see it. Who gets to see it, who gets to use it, how much they get to use it, if they get to query it, how much they can consume, all of that. We've created user permissions for your data once you put it out on the open exchange, and you only expose it to whoever you need to. So if you only have the intention to create a data source to expose it to a single vendor, then you can do it. But if you want to create a data pool, right? So here's a data source that's out there. We'll write an API to it. What is the purpose of it? Supply chain management for the building of large buildings. So you have one single data source where all the suppliers put into one place, and you can come as a technician and just write to that one API, and you will pull all of your suppliers' data, no matter who they are, in real time. Governed by their data governance software, which means they're never giving up critical data while they're doing it. So this is kind of the rules of sharing, right? Rules of sharing means I want to share, but I like to choose what I share, when I share, how I share, with who I share with. The data catalog, like I said, so now we have access to all of our data. We know all of our relationships. We know everything the data is, no matter where the data came from. We found that out typically in most situations within the course of a couple of days. We come back in, we tag sensitive data we don't want to share. Now the world is yours. Do whatever you like. Let's say that tag said, no vendor, right? So we want to serve up a job that allows this data source to be accessible for internal applications, but not for external applications. We just basically write a query that looks for that tag, pulls it out. We write a query against the Oval-Edge database that serves up our data from our traditional data source, because this is our middleware. This is what's actually controlling everything in between. A lot of people feel like, I can tell you this for a fact. APIs are cool. APIs took us a long way. APIs brought us to a new level. But APIs have a lot of restrictions. You can write an API out, but each API has its own set of rules, its own set of logic, its own everywhere, everything. You cannot continue to keep writing that out again and again. Also, writing on the fly becomes kind of a pain to write APIs on the fly. So having something that controls your data from its source and then generates the API for you is really fast, really amazing, and it really manages your data in a really great way. All right, I'm going to slow down a little bit because it's 11:41. We got 19 minutes. I said a whole lot. For those who just came in, we have our partners we have mentees from the United States who are building amazing apps with multi-million users and everything else. We have some of our lead developers in the room who manage and lead Qosil from Atlanta, and one of them just actually moved here. We're here in Astana. I was just joking earlier that I have like 10 of my family members at my house here in Astana. So we're here. We ain't going nowhere. That is, you'll learn Russian at some point. It's not right now. These guys have decades of knowledge and information from implementing with multi-billion-dollar companies. Coca-Cola, Cox Media Group, I can keep going down the limit again. Here are partners from Nigeria that actually we partner with in Nigeria the same way we partner with companies here inside of Kazakhstan. And we're also trying to find ways to have our Kazakh partners work with our Nigerian partners, work with our Egyptian partners, work with our partners inside of other countries that we're in. We're in several other countries. So we want to be that network to make sure our partners grow a whole lot. And we want our tools just to facilitate things to happen faster. We don't want to do anybody's job for them. We just want to make your job easier. That's all. Any questions around this? Because it's a lot of information, right? And data catalogs are a new invention. They're less than 5 years old for the world. A lot of companies in the US are still just trying to figure out how to implement data catalogs. It's a necessity, right? So let me ask, right before everybody asks questions, Shahid works, like I said, with data for billion-dollar companies every single day. That's what he does every single day. How valuable is a data catalog?
How valuable is it?
Yeah, I mean, like,
It's, you can't put a real dollar figure against it, but you have to, because that's the only way
you make some money.
you can make some money. Where we are right now in the development of big data, because really that's what all of this is. It's called big data. Companies at that level are starting to really pay attention to what people like us are saying, the information that we're bringing to them, everything that Farouk has shared with you, we're telling to our company leaders, and they're starting to listen. Some of them listened to us early on, right? And some of them are now paying attention because they see that the world is changing and that the smaller people are taking advantage of these technologies and they're doing great things. We call it disruption, right? We shake up the way that they do things. So, in order to go into a huge organization and give them a map of all of the information that they know is invaluable to them, right? It has a huge value. The value to, give you a big company here, the value was Yandex?
Here, those are Russian. That's one of the issues.
No, it's better.
No,
Yandex is Kazakh.
No, he was born in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, but they're in Russia,
He
though,
is
right?
Russian and he does the business.
The business is Russian, yeah. I mean,
so the
we
point I'm
claim to
making
fame. But
is,
see, let me give you even better. So, BMTech is one of the country's leading tech companies, right? I mean, I'm not over-exaggerating. Their boss, Baghdad Musin, is an awesome guy, right? Smart as hell. And they're pushing to do big things, right? The government here, NITEC, the other companies here, Zerde, they really have expanded e-government, everything else like that. But they're at that problem. You're familiar with the problem. I know the problem. We've seen the problem. We know how you get over the problem. That there's so much data that no one knows exactly what to do with it in order to build something
but the
better.
value to him is going to be a different scale than the guy who's born in Kazakhstan.
Sure.
And that's the point that I'm trying to make. So, how valuable is it?
Yeah, well, it's as valuable as far as you want to go. So my thing is, as far as the data catalog, what you're looking at with data catalog is taking something that would have taken you a very long time with very knowledgeable people about your data to even use the data to build the next thing. This thing just lays it all out for you. It's just sitting right there in front of you. You put it together, you use it, you keep going. Plus, you don't have to worry about really complex application layers. Like I said, Mukhtar, Dullah, all built applications and apps that use 40 plus APIs, so forth and so on, and it is a pain in the butt.
And if you're not doing it this way, you know how you're doing it? You're doing it every other day of the week, sitting in a room with different colleagues from different departments, understanding how the data in their group matches to the data in your group, in their group. And you're doing this over and over and over again. And
Painful.
it kills productivity.
I think there is a way to simplify.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Yeah, because if like, I'd ask for your experience. You know, in your experience, have you built like a highly integrated application? Something that used data from multiple sources?
Yeah,
What was that process like? Like, I mean, how much communication had to continuously go back and forth between the different data owners in that project?
because you need to know where the data is, who knows the data, and how to get the data.
Would it have been beneficial at all if the outcome of that initial project were just, I can go in a catalog, I can just click the data I want, it'll be integrated, and then I can just serve everybody from that one space?
But there is a strict issue because no one wants to share all of the data. They are okay to give you some of the data they want to share, but they won't give you all of it.
And that's the most beautiful thing about having a data governance product.
Yes.
Because seems simple. This seems like a cakewalk, but it's huge, right? Because here you are, you're tagging the things you want to share, things you don't want to share. So you're not making a decision. And by the way, you're tagging fields, tables, and values. And you can tag entire databases. So I can just literally say, this whole database I don't want to share. I just want to share this table, but only these fields. I want to share these fields, but never expose these values. You can do all of that. And then once you turn it on, and you set the job, it's reinforced at all times.
So you are always in control of the governance of your data.
Right. It's basically you set the governance rules, and the rules always exist, so you don't have the conversation every single time. Somebody calls you and says, hey, can we have access to your production data? We're a vendor, we need to do whatever. You can say yes. Here's where you access that at. And you know for a fact that there's no sensitive data in there. Nothing that your company has said we do not want to share is there. You do not have to have the conversation again. You simply just point them and it works. Simple. And then if this is on this level with this catalog, but if you're using our larger project, Qosil, right? If you're using Qosil.app, you can do the integration across all of them. You can pre-prepare the integrations. Say, hey, if you want to connect to all 100 of these vendors, there's government data in there, there's building data, there's manufacturer data, there's everything. And everyone has all their own governance, so they all have said what they're willing to share, what they're not willing to share. It's in one place, it's all pre-integrated, just point to it. It's right there. So the next time someone wants to do the same project based on something, they get permission to access that one single source, done. And it's reinforced, totally and utterly reinforced. And if you got a problem with it, and you don't like it, and you say, hey, somebody did something I didn't like, blah, 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 just cancel the job. Just go in the middleware, cancel the job, and once you cancel the job, nobody can touch it again. You'll stop sending data immediately. So it's complete control. Versus if I tell you I've got 20 APIs I'm serving up, I'm going to cancel them. Just short of turning the server off, I've got to go back in. I mean, seriously, I mean, that's the only way to do it. Just go to the server and slap the thing and turn it off. Otherwise, you just have to go through each single one and restrict the keys that that person is using on every API. It's bad architecture. It's just bad architecture. And any of the restrictions and limitations and inhibitions that someone has can be addressed if you have a good piece of software. This is, we're at the end of our time almost, but it's a very interesting proposition because we're supposed to be tech people. We're supposed to be solving problems. But every time we interact with each other, we act like the worst problem guys in the world.
Politics.
It's politics, it's drama. Our architecture between each other sucks. You know, we don't design at this level. We think about our own process and our own space, and we do good or don't do good at that. These kinds of software are softwares for the software people that automate the processes that the software people do to make their life easier and to automate and increase the productivity inside that. There's a fear. And I believe that the honest to God fear is, this is how technicians work. We like to do things that people don't understand. And then when we do things that people don't understand, that's how we keep our job. The boss says, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. You say, oh, that doesn't work that way. He can't argue with you. Job security, you go home, yeah, baby, the boss, she tried something, but don't worry, go buy that car. Ha, ha, ha. You know? And we keep our job that way. I mean, I've been a technician for 23 years. I know how it works. And we're afraid that when we expose things at this level, that someone can tell us to go. But that's not what happens. Let me give you an explanation. Xerox. We're all familiar with Xerox, the company Xerox. We all have Xerox printers. So Xerox used to be focused only on carbon paper. You know, just press hard, get it in. Sold lots of carbon paper. Somebody in the Research and Development Center at Xerox comes up with the copy machine. And they say, okay, that sounds all great. You can copy stuff. But we need to do analysis. So we should do a feasibility study on the feasibility of a copy machine. They did a feasibility study against copy machine and carbon paper. And they came back and said, if you replaced all the carbon paper in the world, you couldn't justify the cost of one single copier. So throw the project in the trash. And it was gone. The project was dead. No copy machine. Can you imagine? Somebody else comes along and says, no, let me revitalize that dead project. His boss says, are you crazy? Yes, I am crazy, but give me so much money, I'll make it work. You know what they find out? That there's new opportunities in the copy machine that have nothing to do with carbon paper. So solutions like this are leapfrog solutions. They help you to jump in technology to a level where now the technician is 20 times more valuable. Because today he's controlling 40 APIs and he knows all the code and he has everything and nobody wants to get rid of him because those 40 APIs control applications that serve millions of people and everyone's scared that he goes. But tomorrow he controls 1,000 APIs and he does it with ease. And no one wants to understand your 1,000 APIs. No one wants to go through that. You're more valuable than you were yesterday by automating your own processes, taking your own medicine. So that's what the data catalog is. And this, I've just scratched the surface of what these applications do. I barely scratched the surface. But what's possible is amazing. And like I said, typical license, $230,000 for 2 petabytes, 5 petabytes of data. That's IO that's Informatica. I can name them all. IBM Smart Catalogs. We're the only people on the entire planet Earth that will give it to you for $500 a user per month to analyze all of your data. And we're only offering it in Kazakhstan. So,
Where do you store data?
data stored in your house.
Do you fetch and collect it?
In your house? No. So we catalog it. It's different than collecting the data. Catalog, analyze. This runs on the data space itself, right? So you can use MySQL, Cassandra, or something else to run your data stores and storing the metadata and schema. That's sensitive information. We don't ever want it to leave your walls. We implement the entire thing on your machines, in your environment. We give you a key, you pay for the key, lasts for 30 days, you pay another 30 days, we give you the renewal of that key. All things stay inside your house. They never leave your house. You have full control. We don't want to ever take someone's security away from you.
And how do you store your data via API or?
Let's take a look at it. I said this was the nerds presentation, right? Not the business presentation. This is the technical one. It's just as simple. You have Maria, or let's say you have SQL Server. There you go. That's what you need to give it. What database type is it? There's some built-in things that the database catalog that we know. We know all of these, so we've pre-written all of these crawlers. Then the authentication, you say, am I using SQL Server authentication? Am I using Microsoft? Whatever you like. authenticate, you can actually go ahead, and probably one of the cool things to do is you can go inside your authentication, so you can go inside, if you have SQL Server authentication, create a user just for cataloging, so that you can kill the catalog if you like to by just killing the user. That's also an easy way to do it, and create a second layer of security. The host name, your IP address, port number, you know, this is typical stuff. You know, username, password, hit it, bang. Tell it to go, it goes. If you say, hey, I just want you to catalog the data, the metadata, it'll do that, bring that back. But you say, no, I want it to do deep analysis. So go in there and catalog field values and everything else. Tell me all the trends and stuff around field values. And it'll go a little bit deeper, and that process of return takes a bit longer. And it's really just as easy. It's all there, and you go there. So, and this is, like I said, this is not API layer in. So you don't have to create an application to serve the data up. This is going directly and saying, here's what the data looks like. Now you can serve up APIs from the middleware, you know, by creating the jobs that serve up the APIs from there. And if you want to use APIs, fine. If you want to create an integrated thing and then shoot it off into a secondary space and have that entire data set integrated back inside its own Hadoop data lake, you can do that. There's a million options. But the whole thing is, now you've got a control system for your data. And that's huge. That's really, really big. You know, really big. Demystifies a lot. And I think it's more important for a technician to be able to say, can you build this app? How long will it take? 2 months. The other guy said 12 months. I think it's more important to be able to have those conversations than it is like, I know the data nobody else does. And so you got to keep me. I'd rather be more valuable than someone that's just afraid to get rid of me. You know, that's teaching technicians to create value and do more. Any questions? Because I'd love to answer. This is new, and it's something different. We like to have more classes about it, but what we really like to do is engage more companies around it. And by engaging you and showing you how to use, you can go online right now, go to overledge.com. You can play with the system by yourself. So just jump in and play around as much as you like. I will tell you that this one system alone has a development cycle around it that's about 5.5 years. So it took 5.5 years to get to this point to be able to provide this. So it's not that easy to duplicate it. The reason we thought that we should bring the application to Kazakhstan instead of encouraging a local partner to build it is because by the time you build it, the rest of the world will be beyond it. So that didn't make any sense.
What language is written?
The entire application? Yeah, this is written in Java. So, but I mean, there's a lot of tools in here. It's really thick. But it's written in Java, and this version for the sample, the actual database is MySQL. It's actually doing the catalog. Because when we pull all the crawling into the catalog and we store the metadata and structure it inside the MySQL database.
You don't pull the data, you just catalog it.
Just catalog it. It's a catalog. It's not trying to duplicate the data. We do not want to duplicate, because if we duplicate the data, then you've got to duplicate the storage, which means it costs money now to figure out what you got. You know, we don't want you to do that. We want it to be light, but powerful. You know, light, but really powerful. So, and like I said here, even in our own applications here, so Overledge is there. This is the rest of the data exchange. We use this methodology over and over again, where we always create a database and a user interface that deals with cataloging the data, knowing what it is, sample sets of the information, analysis on the information, which is a lot lighter than the data itself, a lot lighter. And then we use that to serve up the data into places that then use the data and then do that. So you have, remember, like I said, you're automating the automation. So you have to find a way to be light on top of that. You know, that's the way it works. So it's a pretty interesting thing. Like I said, there's a lot more information to be given about it. It's a really, we've put 12 months into it. We decided to come to Kazakhstan in January 2018 strategically. And we spent the entire year making deals and building applications to bring it.
So Overledge exposes APIs from these jobs?
Yeah, Overledge can actually go and map all, but why would I want to hit the API? You know what I'm saying? Like, really, this is an internal. So I'm pulling all my own data. Why would I go through an API to pull my own data? I want to see it as it is, and then choose how to do that. Why would I need the governance of an API to pull into a data governance software? That doesn't make any sense. I go to the data source.
So when you're exposing it to outside apps,
Now that you're exposing the outside app, you have a choice. So you can serve it up the API, but that's going to hit your own resources, right? So you've got resources on your side that you don't want to tax. The other part of it is you've got another choice. We're building this in Kazakhstan right now. So we're actually building, like I said in the beginning, we have the ability now to put an exabyte data center in a room this size, right? So we're actually building more data centers for Kazakhstan to securely hold things. Also, it gives you edge processing power. So with the edge processing power, you'll be able to serve up applications from your integrated data on your private network a lot quicker than a lot of the hosts that you're using in Russia. So that's a huge thing. I mean, a huge advantage, not a small one. And we can do that. Now, if you don't want that data externally, fine. Then launch it over into your own data store, your own data storage. If you want to make those investments inside the house, if you want to manage it, you have the resources to do so, do it. If not, then you can outsource that entire portion as well, and we'll work with that, even to the point of building a private network for someone where it's completely private and separated.
I think it's important for you to reiterate the fact that it's metadata. That is the
Metadata, schemas, data logs, that's what we're looking at. We're not we're analyzing data, we're not pulling data to a secondary source.
Now, for you to be able to access data from the other, from other people, how do you get access? Are they going to put their data in the island or where?
So I'm gonna run this because we're out of time, we're flat out of time. I'm gonna run this scenario real quick just so you know. But let me run it here. I'm gonna show you the real application of it, and then I'll show you the way it looks. So in this case, let's say that you're a data producer, right? You're any data producer. Once you're the data producer, this is the product Overledge we just looked at. This happens within your walls, We use Overledge and we use Kafka Streams. Kafka Streams, we're launching Kafka Streams in Overledge in March. So later this month, we finished all of our application for that. If you're not, are you familiar with Kafka Streams?
Yeah, it's a message broker.
Yes. You familiar with Kafka? I didn't even ask what you guys do. What do you do?
Work in office of government.
Of AIFC? Yes. Okay. So Kafka Streams, you know one of the issues is that it comes out fast, right? So once you actually start looking at because it's looking at your database logs, and it's literally saying everything that just changed. Basically, it's like this. Let's say you start with a cake. Here's the first layer of the cake. You got the first layer of the cake. I want to mirror that cake. So I can start with the first layer. Now, as you add the icing, I need something that tells me, hey, you just added icing. And here's what the icing looks like. Here's the flavor. Here's how it tastes with everything else. Spread it on exactly. So what happens is you have a messaging service that tells this application to duplicate the actions over here. It's a lot different than actually tagging this thing and telling it to serve up all of that information over here. You're not passing information over, you're just passing the instructions. By passing instructions, you're shooting a lot less, you're using a lot less of your resources. So in the case that you're talking about, we basically are taking two things. One, your governed data set, along with your Kafka stream. We're putting that in this system, which puts a sample of the data out here, something that you don't mind exposing, 100 to 1,000 rows, simple. We then created an interface here, user permissions, that limit who can and cannot see this. Then from the user permissions, we use Qosil.build to use SQL to create ETLs, extraction transformation layers, that actually map and integrate that data together. And then, just like in McDonald's, with any catalog, if I'm going to go to McDonald's and go to the catalog, am I going to take a burger and some fries and then hand it to the guy and say, give me that? No. I'm going to tell you, give me burger and fries. When I look down at the menu, what am I looking at? A representation of the burger and fries. I'm not looking at the burger and fries. I can't fit a burger and fries on the menu, but I can make it that small on the menu. So this is like a menu. And the ordering system is Qosil.build. The kitchen is Qosil.exe. So once you send it to the kitchen, it knows where do I go grab that information from? What do I do? Who do I get it from? Overledge has already said, in this whole system, if I don't want you to see it or touch it, you don't have permission to touch it. So what's in here is the ability to grab that. Now it pulls it down, does its magic, puts it in the Hadoop data lake, adds Spark as an integration layer, serves up the result sets, serves Kafka streams. We maintain our own streaming log in Cassandra. And now the magic is that a Qosil edge that mirror the real actions inside that company in real time. And they're all integrated at that level. And then you can write whatever you like, because then they access it, and once you access it, you can just do whatever the heck you want to with that. So that's that scenario. All the security layers are built in OvalEdge for the user to make sure they don't want things out, and then there's a second layer of security that adds permissions and stuff so that they only can share with who they want to. That's how that happens. I think that, I don't know, is that a good explanation? So we really did need, I will tell you, everybody at the table to figure out how to do that. That was, it was a really heavy lift for us, but it's something that we've got working, and we're ready to go ahead and start using. But I really would like, at the end of this class, just to wrap it up, what I'll say is this. Think about smart catalogs, think about data catalogs. It will get you further ahead really quickly, like really, really quick, and make your companies look a lot more snazzy with the things that you pull off. And people will be asking, how in the hell did you do that? You know, and that's what we want. That's what we want. And they don't even know our name. They know that you're amazing.
Which companies do you serve? Which companies do you serve?
The ones that I can talk about. So right now we're working with Europharma, working with Zaman Bank, Zaman Group, and we're also working with Agro Electric, and we're constantly talking to the MTech. So, all right.
Does it work basically like a Firebase?
No, it's cataloging that and going further. So it's going beyond just a simple database. It's a database. Came in right at the end. It's like a whole hour and a half of explanation that supersedes it. All right, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. You're next? Yes? Yeah. So in an hour, Abdullah has written an application with his team that has how many users?
It's a little bit of
Over 1 million users, and you're integrating off of how many APIs right now?
it's over
40
40.
plus APIs. And that architecture, how he did it, blah, 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 he's going to share it in full at 1 o'clock and talk about that. Of course, you wish you did it this way. Yeah, but either way, he came to share that with you. One thing I wanted to explain before you meet Abdullah is his story. Abdullah, and I told him I was going to split the story while he's here, but Abdullah is one of my mentees. He's not one of my employees. What we've done since 2012 is we were one of the first mentor boot camps in the United States to mentor people to become programmers. We keep that as part of what we do. We turn out programmers by the ton, and we can do it really quick. Anybody that works with us, we take a lot of interest in who they are as a person, develop them, ensure that they have international standards. We put challenging projects on their board, and like with Abdullah, we really help to shape their direction. Abdullah now is mentoring several people himself. He's doing great stuff, working at a great level, and we're trying to establish the brand in Kazakhstan that working for Qosil means that you are working for one of the best international companies. And when you leave, which we don't expect you to stay forever, we expect for you to grow beyond the point, take your knowledge somewhere else, and build somebody else, right? But when you go out back into the market, we want people to know that you're one of those amazing guys that got tutelage in Qosil as well. So that's the brand that we're trying to express here. Thank you very much. We'll be back at 1 o'clock.